Afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. Technical difficulties, not surprising. Again, I'm assuming I'm on air here. I'm going to go ahead and assume I'm here. And see who's in the comment section here before we get into it. College Football Battle 2. Good afternoon to you, sir. Christian Ballard, Josh Pinion. I see Prince 6'1" in here. Dennis Wilson, the Crowing Cock, says he loves listening to the show while doing his homework. Well, I do advocate listening to the show while you do your homework, although I hope it doesn't result in a bad grade for you, sir. Tiger Nate. Melon Matt says, what's up, Pete? What's up, Melon Matt? Yeah. Prince says, it's crazy that we have 3 undefeated Power 5 football teams this time. Yeah, that is crazy because it's a minor miracle for any team in any league to go undefeated. And we have 3 this year. So that's a great point. And I'm very distracted and very perturbed, as Carolina Jackpot would say right now, because my internet, I don't know if it's my internet or my YouTube, I don't know what it is, but it's really starting to piss me off. It says I'm offline, but it's done this before. I'm already in a crappy mood because I just don't feel good. I feel awful, actually. I'm sick, but all right. Well, I'm just gonna continue. I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna continue the show. Actually, I'm gonna refresh this. I mean, I can't look at this spinning circle all day long, all stream long. I can't do it. Unbelievable. All right. So somebody just give me some confirmation that I'm on and it's not lagging or something. Do you have a black screen? I mean, what do you got? Because I'm about 2 seconds from just ending this thing because I don't have the patience for it today for YouTube doing this. What's up, bud? All right. I'm on. Thank you. I'm sorry for everybody. I'm just going to resume. So what we have this weekend is championship week. We have a NFL game tonight, New Orleans and Dallas, which, I mean, Dallas has looked good the past, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks. But New Orleans looks like the best team in the NFL. Unfortunately for Carolina Panthers fans like me, New Orleans has to be in their division, so... Anyway, I mean, New Orleans, I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans just blew Dallas out. They've been blowing pretty much everybody out. So there's not much to talk about as far as that game concerned. Does anybody think Dallas has a chance? You can go ahead and give me your thoughts on that. Yeah, so I see a couple of people in the stream saying that Pitt is going to upset Clemson. I mean, I guess anything's possible. And I'll be the first to tell you right now, if Clemson loses to Pittsburgh in the ACC championship game, they don't deserve to be in the playoff. I mean, I can actually admit Unlike some Alabama fans who say that if they lose to Georgia, they still deserve to be in the championship game because they're still one of the best 4 teams in the country. Well, I can make the same observation about Clemson. I still think Clemson is one of the best 4 teams in the country. But, I mean, at least you got to earn your way in there. You should not lose the last game of the year, the most important game of the year, which is a championship game, and still get your way into the playoff. So if Alabama loses this week, they don't deserve to be in the playoff. I don't care what anybody says. And I don't think they will be. If they lose to Georgia and Oklahoma and Ohio State win, I don't think Alabama's getting in. I know I'm in the minority in thinking that because everything I'm reading, everything I'm hearing on talk radio is saying that Alabama, this is a bye week for them. It's just the difference between them getting in at the number 1 slot and the number 4 slot. I disagree. Alabama got in last year as a 1-loss team that didn't win their conference, but number 1, they didn't play in their conference game, so they didn't have to lose the last game of the year on national TV and championship week. Number 2, they got in ahead of 2-loss conference championship teams, which if Ohio State and Oklahoma win, they will not be 2-loss conference championship teams. They'll be 1-loss conference championship teams. But the irony of this whole thing is if Alabama does lose, and that's a big if because I think they'll win, but if they lose, you'll see Alabama fans coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden wanting an 8-team playoff. The irony is thick with that. But we'll see what happens. They're a double-digit favorite in the SEC championship game, which is actually pretty phenomenal. I don't know if we've seen that any time in the past couple of years. What's up, Johnny Red Dot? How you doing, sir? Aaron Short, Billy Dawson, my man. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Otherwise, you would not be here. Yeah, if. Yeah, believe me, there's a lot of ifs, man. It's college football. It's full of ifs. If there were no ifs in college football, what do we do? I mean, what am I doing on here? It's we're here to speculate. And believe me, anything can happen. So. But the biggest question is who deserves to get in, Ohio State or Oklahoma, provided that all the teams that are favored in championship win out. I mean, the Pac-12 is out of it, so just go ahead and forget about the Pac-12 championship is going to be, not only is it irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. I mean, all they're doing is playing for a Rose Bowl spot, whoever's going to be the finish second place in the Big Ten. That's all that is. But the only thing that matters is that 4th spot. I just don't see. I mean, I have Ohio State fans coming on and making their case for why Ohio State should be put in ahead of Oklahoma. I got Oklahoma fans coming on giving their case of why Oklahoma should get in ahead of Ohio State. And I get both of their points. They both make very valid points. I just think it's a moot point. I mean, before this past weekend, Ohio State was ranked number 10 and UCF was ranked ahead of them. They moved up to 6 because they beat Michigan, and they had 3 teams ahead of them lose. Or 2 other teams ahead of them lose. And UCF's quarterback got hurt, which I think does make a difference. But it's not about who's they like to pretend as if they want to pick the 4 best teams. No, it's not really. I mean, they can say that that's what it is all they want to. I don't believe it. Prove it to me. I don't believe it for a minute. I think if Oklahoma wins their game and Georgia loses the SEC championship game, then Oklahoma's getting in. I just don't see how they can justify taking Ohio State from number 10 all the way up to number 4 within a matter of 2 weeks, and Oklahoma all they do is win, and they were ranked 4 spots ahead of them prior to that. I don't see it. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what you think. It's just the way it is. Hey, Pete, Bobby, a buddy of mine, Jeff, is a huge Dallas fan. He said that they are not making the playoffs. But he said tonight is the real tale. Well, I disagree with your buddy, Jeff. Dallas, I think, is making the playoffs. Listen, the Eagles aren't very good. They're in a Super Bowl hangover. The Giants aren't very good. And the best team in that division until Alex Smith got hurt was the Redskins, but I just said it, Alex Smith got hurt. And so I think that Dallas has a pretty easy path into winning that division. They'll get in the playoffs. I don't think they'll win in the playoffs, but I think they'll get in there. Oklahoma and Ohio State are fighting over who's going to lose to Alabama, says Aaron Short. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Yeah, college football battle too. I agree 110%, and that's the reason. That's the difference. And I said that on my video I posted the other day about who's in either Ohio State or Oklahoma. I mean, forget the fact that Oklahoma's already ranked ahead of them by one spot. I mean, but that does matter. But yeah, they both have good wins. They both have elite offenses. Oklahoma's got probably the best offense in the country, but they've been playing the worst defenses week in, week out in the Big 12. Ohio State has an elite offense. Their defense is ranked higher, but they've been playing Big Ten offenses, which are mediocre for the most part, week in and week out, so that may inflate their defensive stats a little bit. Even Michigan doesn't have very good offense, despite what the national media will make you believe. But yeah, when you're evaluating two teams like Oklahoma and Ohio State that are so close in every single other category, and they're both one-loss conference champions, the only thing that separates the two at the end of the day is their loss. Who'd they lose to and how did they lose to them? Oklahoma lost to a pretty good Texas team in a rivalry game by 3 points. Ohio State lost on the road to a very average Purdue team, and they didn't just lose. They got drubbed, they got ran over, and they got embarrassed. So, yeah, I agree. That will be the difference, and that is the difference between their ranking right now as we speak. You can't unsee that. It's what left Ohio State out of the playoff last year, despite the fact that Alabama didn't even win their division. Ohio State got drubbed and gave up 55 points on the road to an Iowa team, and that's what kept them out. And if you're an Ohio State fan, listen, you might be better than Oklahoma, but that doesn't matter. Don't go on the road and get drubbed by average teams and blown out. It's one thing to put up a competitive game and lose on the road. That could happen to anybody on any given day. But don't get blown out by a bad team. That's just, I mean, there's no justification for that. It would be interesting to see Alabama and Oklahoma play. The offenses would kill each other's defense. I do agree that Oklahoma can score on anybody. I don't think that Oklahoma would beat Alabama, though. And the reason I don't think Oklahoma would beat Alabama is I think that they can score with each other back and forth. But Alabama's defense is good enough to get a couple of more stops than what Oklahoma's defense would. So that would be the difference in the game. I mean, Aaron Short says Oklahoma's offense would kill Alabama's defense. Well, Alabama's offense would kill Oklahoma's defense. As a matter of fact, anybody's offense will kill Oklahoma's defense. Oklahoma has given up 40 points or more to almost every single team they've played this year. And, I mean, their defense is on another level bad. So, Oklahoma against a team like Michigan, I think Oklahoma would beat them. A team like LSU, these teams that don't have very good offenses, they'd kill them. But Alabama is not on that list. Alabama's got an elite offense as well. Tiger Nate says he thinks that OU or defense, pick one, says Prince 6'1". What do you mean? You mean would I rather have a good defense or Oklahoma's offense? I'd rather have a good offense and an elite defense than Oklahoma's offense and their terrible defense. But that's just me. I mean, there just hasn't been a team in recent history, in the playoff era especially, that has not had at least a good defense and won a national championship. I mean, having a great offense is great. It's only going to take you so far. You still do need to play defense to some level to win it all. Sorry, I got off track. I meant to read Tiger Nate's comment there. He says that he thinks there's a chance that Notre Dame gets pushed out. Maybe. You know what, Tiger Nate? That's a great comment because I have a definite opinion on this. Well, first of all, Notre Dame's not getting pushed out. Now, there's a chance they could fall from 3 to 4 just by being punished for not playing a conference championship game. But Notre Dame's getting in the playoff. Period. I mean, they're 12-0. They played a big boy schedule. They played 10 Power 5 teams and beat them, plus 2 other teams, which is still more than most teams do. I mean, Clemson beat 10 Power 5 teams as well. I think Alabama only beat 9 because they only played 9, and so on. But anyway, I wish that the committee could end this whole Notre Dame fiasco if they wanted to with the stroke of a pen this year and end it. It would be over. End the discussion, but they won't do it. They don't have the balls to do it. They could put Notre Dame as a 12-0 football team out of the playoffs. They could slip them down to number 5, and they could justify it by saying, yeah, they went 12-0, but we value conference championships just a little bit more from a one-loss conference champ. They could put Oklahoma and Ohio State in their 3 and 4 spot and leave Notre Dame out. And that would all but effectively force Notre Dame to actually join a conference. But they won't do it. They don't have the balls to do it. The backlash would be too great. The criticism would be too much for them to handle. But I would love to see that. And it's not because I don't hate Notre Dame. But I think it's ridiculous that they get to sit home on their butts this weekend and watch 2 other undefeated Power 5 football teams in Clemson and Alabama go out there and play a game that they possibly could lose, especially Alabama. They're playing a top 4 team and could possibly lose, and Notre Dame gets to sit back there and eat popcorn and heal up on their way to the playoffs. Not fair. Now, sports isn't fair. But you know what else isn't fair? If Notre Dame did get pushed out of the playoffs by sitting home and watching a conference championship, what would they be sitting back and saying? It's not fair. We did everything we're supposed to do. We went 12-0 and we played a schedule all over the country. It's not fair. Well, yeah, you're right. It's not fair. But guess what? It's not fair. It's not fair that Clemson has to go out and play a game this weekend and prove it. It's not fair that Alabama has to go out there and play a game this weekend and prove it. It's not fair that Oklahoma's got to go out there this weekend and prove it. It's not fair that Ohio State has to go out there this weekend and prove it. So you're getting the best end of the deal on this week if you're Notre Dame. But karma's a bitch, and next year or the year after that or whenever it may be, Notre Dame will go 11-1 and get left out. Because karma always has a way of rearing its ugly head. What's up, Nick Bro? Yes, everybody please like the video. Thank you. Like it, share it, subscribe if you're new here. Yeah, Pitt almost beat Notre Dame. Yes. Pitt's a tricky team. You never know what Pitt team's going to show up. They could come up and play lights out and give Clemson a game, or they could just lay down like they did last week for Miami. But I mean, Pitt's dangerous in a certain way. I don't know if Pitt taking Notre Dame down to the wire in South Bend earlier this year says more about Notre Dame or more about Pitt. I mean, is that more about Notre Dame being overrated as a team, or is it more about Pitt being a streaky team that can compete with anybody on any given day? I don't know. If Georgia loses a close game to Alabama, they are still in. One loss, Ohio State, Notre Dame, in my opinion. No. If Georgia loses the SEC championship, they're not. Listen, Georgia, if they lose this game, they're not getting in. I'm sorry, it's not happening. If you're a Georgia fan and you're out there hoping that you lose this game and get in, it's not happening. You'll be a 2-loss team that didn't win your conference. There's not. I mean, it's not happening. I mean, they'd put UCF in ahead of Georgia if Georgia lost this game. Georgia's not getting in with 2 losses and not winning their conference. No way. First of all, a 2-loss team has never got in, period. Even if they did win their conference. So they're not getting in if they don't win their conference and they've got 2 losses. It's not happening. Now, if Georgia does win, they're in. If Georgia does win, they probably would end up in the number 2 spot and bump Clemson to 3 because because of their win. Their resume and their win of the final year would be the best win of the year against Alabama. So Georgia could knock Clemson out of the 2 spot. Hell, Georgia could possibly move all the way up to 1 if they beat Alabama. What's up, Brian Fennell? How you doing, sir? What's up, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow? How you doing, sir? Welcome to the stream. By the way, Catfish, great fan face-off last night between Uncle Lou and Law Tide. That was one for the ages. Very entertaining. Yeah, 2 losses out for sure. What's up, Mark Dudley? How you doing, sir? Hey, Pete. Hold on. Let me go back up here. Hey, Pete. UCF's quarterback out. Does Memphis win? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, Memphis is a good team. Obviously, they're in the AAC championship game. They did lose to UCF earlier this year already, but that was with Mackenzie Milton healthy. So, but if you're who is it? Who else is competing for that New Year's Six bowl game? I think it's Utah State. There's another team. There's 2 other teams that could potentially move into that New Year's Six bowl game spot if UCF loses. I want to say that Utah State's one of them. I don't know. I mean, listen, I got to be honest with you. The group of 5, I know everybody else gets up in arms about it, and I get the whole thing. If you're a UCF fan, you're all excited. You've won 25 games in a row. You've been undefeated for 2 years, and you want some sort of respect. It doesn't get me excited. I mean, come on. Does anybody else get really super excited? Unless you're like an alumni of one of those schools, do you get excited about watching Group of 5 football games? No. And there's proof of that, and the proof of that is the TV ratings for these Group of 5 championship games are in the toilet. They almost lose money. As a matter of fact, if you look at the FC, everyone cries about the Group of 5 should have a playoff, which I do agree. If they're not going to have a chance to make the real playoff, the 4-team playoff that we all look at, the FCS playoff, what do they have? 16 teams, right? In the FCS. Or is it more than that? It might be 32. The winner of the FCS, the highest rated FCS team, has a choice of whether or not they can play in a big bowl game, not even a New Year's Six bowl game, but a bowl game, a nationally televised bowl game, or they can play for a some sort of FCS national championship game that nobody's going to watch. They always choose the bowl game over winning a national title. And the reason they want to do that is because who cares? Nobody. Would you rather go play in a game that nobody's going to watch, or would you rather go play a relevant football team in a Power 5 program in a bowl game? And the answer to that 10 times out of 10 is they'd rather go to a bowl game and get national exposure than go win a meaningless title, which they'll be given anyways, the title game, just by proxy. So I don't get excited about Group of 5 football. I'm not saying they don't play good football over there, but it doesn't get me excited. Sorry. That's just my opinion. What's up, Glow? How you doing? Miranda Dansby, my favorite damsel in distress. How you doing? Oh, Glow, thank you for asking me that. I'm so glad you asked me this question. Because this is the most pitiful, politically correct bullcrap all year in football. He says, Pixie and Pete, what do you think about Oklahoma players getting penalized if they do the horns down logo? I think it's ridiculous. And it's not just about them getting a 15-yard penalty. That's one thing. If you want to say they're going to get a 15-yard penalty for doing it, then I get it. Because they give you a 15-yard penalty for doing all kinds of different hand gestures or whatever. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be any different than grabbing your crotch like Baker Mayfield did or whatever. I get that part of it. But they want to, like, ban this thing and make it a monetary fine. They want to actually ban schools and coaches for doing this financially if they do this, which is the craziest, stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Doing this, the horns down thing, is that offensive to these people? Snowflakes is what they are. And who's the coach of Tom Herman? Tom Herman spends 10 minutes out of his day whining and crying to the Big 12 about horns down. No horns down. Don't do horns down. It hurts our feelings. Who cares? You're talking about a grown man's getting paid like $8 million a year to coach a football team, and he spends all his day crying about people who put their index finger and their pinky finger down? I mean, give me a break. I lost all respect for Tom Herman whenever I read this article about him. What a baby. Eli Sheet says Clemson's defense is fraudulent. Yeah, you're right. What's your proof of that? And you can make statements like that, but you better back it up with something. And don't tell me it's because they gave up 35 points to a top 30 offense in America when Alabama's out there giving up 31 points to a lower 30 offense in America and Arkansas, giving up 17 points to a 4-win FCS Citadel men's military school team. Come on, sir. Michigan had the number 1 offense in the country and just Ohio State's 162 on them. So if Clemson's offense or defense is fraudulent, then I want you to tell me whose is better. That's the better way to put it. Because I can almost guarantee you whatever team you name is going to be more fraudulent. Let's see here. Pete, read my last comment. Okay, let me go back up, sir. I'll try to. Here, hold on. I'm gonna. Okay, Christian Ballard. Number 1 defense, Clemson, my rear end. They gave up 23 points to Syracuse at home. Not to mention giving up 35 points to their rival Gamecocks in Death Valley. Their defense is great, but not number 1. Okay, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, sir. Did you not just hear that you gave up 17 points to a FCS school who won 4 games this year? Did you not just read that you gave up 31 points to an Arkansas team that can't score on Forrest Gump himself, the real Forrest Gump? Sir? I mean, talk about overrated. Michigan had the number 1 defense. Ohio State had the number 2 offense until last week. All right. Despite the fact that Clemson gave up 35 points to South Carolina, they still have the number. They still lead the nation in points allowed in America. Okay. Also, just for your information, just in case you forgot or didn't know to begin with, I'm gonna go ahead and educate you. Because everyone says Clemson hadn't played anybody all year. The ACC is terrible. They have the weakest schedule of anybody in the top 4. They have more wins against Power 5 teams on the road, 5, than anybody in America. They have more wins against Power 5 football teams, period, than anybody in America, or tied for it, because they played the most. Or tied for playing for the most with Notre Dame. So, I mean, has anybody looked at these other schedules before they start bashing Clemson's schedule? Has anybody even looked into it? I mean, have you looked at Alabama's schedule? Now, is it Alabama's fault that they played a terrible schedule? No, it's not theirs. It's not Clemson's fault either. But the only team that Alabama beat was a 3-loss LSU team who has no offense. A team that lost to Florida, for Christ's sake. Can somebody tell me what defense is? Yeah. What's up, Hound Dog? How you doing, sir? Good to see you. What's up, College Football Maniac? Eli Sheets says Clemson barely beat Texas A&M. They barely did what to Texas A&M? Can you repeat that? They barely did what to Texas A&M? What, beat them? Right. Yeah. That keyword beat. Keyword undefeated. Keyword 12-0. So, I don't know. I'd be a hell of a lot worried if my team was tied at halftime with an FCS school, than almost losing on the road to an SEC school. Be much more worried about that. Who gets in, the Sooners or the Buckeyes? I think the Sooners get in. If both teams win, I think that Oklahoma will get in. Can somebody tell me when the hell Tennessee will be back to a bowl? Next year, I think. I think Tennessee will make a bowl game next year. Nick Bro, good observation, sir. He said he'd rather win by 2 points than lose the game. Exactly. Yeah. Eli Sheets says, oh, Eli Sheets, you're the one that's been sitting here trashing Clemson? I mean, talk about skeletons in the closet, sir. I mean, listen, Notre Dame almost lost at home to a high school team, sir, Ball State. The team that you just called terrible and the conference that you just called terrible in Pitt almost beat you in South Bend this year. When the hell that wasn't but like what 4 or 5 weeks ago. Wasn't like it was 3 months ago. I mean, listen, and Notre Dame goes on the road. Everybody expects them to blow Southern Cal out of the water. Southern Cal they're not good. I realize the game was in California, but that's not an excuse. They're not good. I mean, they were ready to fire their coach until Notre Dame showed up. Now he's not going anywhere. They're like, oh, look at how he played against Notre Dame. You guys saved the Southern California guy's job. That's how badly you played against them. And you're going to win it all? Yeah, right. We'll see about that. We'll actually see the first round of the playoffs, man. We'll see then. We'll see. And Vanderbilt. I almost forgot about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's, if not the worst team in the SEC, the second worst team in the SEC, right? I mean, they had you dead to rights until, the last play of the game? You had to pull something out of your ass to win that game? That game was in Notre Dame, too. Yeah. But good job, Notre Dame. You went 12-0. You went 12-0. You handled your business. I mean, you had 3 very narrow victories over terrible teams. I mean, good job. But you did win them. That's all that matters. So now what you get to do is sit on your butt for the next month and watch, real football teams play football. But all that does is just prolong the time it is before whoever it is plays in the first round, whether it's Clemson, Oklahoma, or Alabama, or Ohio State. Well, one of those teams will play you, and one of those teams will beat you. So, it's just a longer wait to watch your team lose. So I don't know. I think I'd rather just go to a New Year's Six bowl game and have a chance of winning it than go into the playoffs and watch my team lose embarrassingly. But that's just me. I'm not trying to push you on Alabama, sir. There's nothing I would love more as a Clemson fan than to watch Clemson play Notre Dame. I'm hoping for it. ACC is a basketball conference. Changed my mind. He's trying to trigger me. It's not going to work. Except for the fact that the ACC has more national championships in the past decade than anybody other than the SEC, has more wins, has more playoff appearances. I mean, I don't know. Has a winning record against the SEC for the past 6 years straight. So I don't know. I mean, if that doesn't change your mind, I mean, maybe nothing will. But it's not up to me to change your mind. You have to do your own research on that. I know you are, sir. I know you're trying to trigger me. Why did they fire Cliff? Because Cliff has a losing record at Texas Tech. That's why. He's won less than 50% of his games, and that's why. So. Aside from that, how are you doing today? I'm terrible, honestly. I feel like complete crap. I mean, I'm sick, so I feel disgusting right now. But thank you for asking. Appreciate it. He got hired as the USC offensive coordinator. Now that's news to me. Thanks for telling me that. If that's true, if that's what's the reports that are coming out, I did not know that. But it makes sense. So, yeah. On that note, I am going to get off because I feel terrible. I almost didn't come on air today just because I don't feel good. But anyway, I came on. Here I am. Thanks everybody for showing up. I appreciate that too. So I will be on Saturday afternoon for the SEC championship game. The most exciting, some would say the most meaningful, even though they're all meaningful, at least in the ACC and in the Big 12 and the SEC. But anyway, Georgia versus Alabama in Atlanta. Can't wait for that. I think the game starts at 4:30. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's either 4:30 or 4 o'clock. Anyway, I think it's at 4:30. I'll be on 15 to 20 minutes prior to kickoff, so everybody show up. Billy Dawson coming through with the super chat. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Anybody who super chats, I mean, I don't know. I can't thank you enough. Also, you can support the show through the Patreon page. If you click the link in the description to the Patreon page, you can go on there and sign up. It takes you 5 minutes. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Billy. And thank you, Tiger Nation, for also being the other Patreon member. Anyway, I'll see you guys on Saturday, and we'll pick it up where we left off. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.